You slept 8 hours, maybe 9. You went to bed at a reasonable hour for once, you barely touched your phone, and you still woke up feeling like you'd been hit by a truck that then reversed to check. By 2 in the afternoon, you're wading through wet cement. The coffee isn't landing. And here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Your body is keeping a record of something you don't remember agreeing to. This isn't laziness. It isn't a moral failing, whatever that one productivity guy on your feed keeps implying. There's a real mechanism behind it. It has a name, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. And here's what nobody tells you. This kind of tired isn't one problem. It's one entry on a much longer list of things your body does to you after dark and never bothers to explain. We're working through every one of them. Today, it's the exhaustion that sleep is supposed to fix, and doesn't. So let's kill the obvious answer first. You assume tired means not enough sleep. More hours in, more rest out. Simple. Except you already tried that. You've had nights where you slept like the dead and still woke up hollow. And you've had 4-hour nights where you felt, weirdly, fine. If sleep were just a fuel tank, none of that would happen. A Stanford sleep scientist named Dr. William Dement spent decades on exactly this puzzle, and he's the reason we have a phrase for it at all. He argued your body doesn't track sleep the way a tank tracks fuel. It tracks it the way a bank tracks a loan. And the word he made stick, the one quietly running your afternoons, is debt. Here's how the loan works. Every hour you're awake, a chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain. Think of it as exhaust. The more your brain runs, the more it accumulates, and the heavier it makes you feel. Sleep is the only thing that clears it. A full night sweeps the slate. You wake up at 0. But cut the night short, one all-nighter, 1 week of 5-hour I'll catch up Saturday nights, and you don't clear all of it. A little adenosine carries over. You start the next day already partway loaded. Do it again, and the carryover stacks. This is sleep debt. Not a single bad night, but the running balance of every short night you've ever told yourself didn't count. And the cruel detail, the one that explains your whole life right now, the debt doesn't forgive itself overnight. You cannot pay off 2 weeks of bad sleep with one heroic 12-hour Sunday. The body collects slowly, on its own schedule, and it keeps perfect books. So you walk around at 2 p.m. feeling inexplicably wrecked, and the explanation isn't last night, it's the tab. Frankly, your body would make a better accountant than most banks. It never loses the receipt. Quick one, and only because you're still here, which already beats most people's attention span by a clean 3 minutes. If your own body running a secret ledger against you is as fascinating as it is rude, that's the whole channel. Why your body betrays you at night. Hit subscribe and the next one's already loaded. Why you wake up at 3 a.m. like clockwork, even when nothing's wrong. Right, back to the debt. Now, why do you feel worse in the afternoon and weirdly okay first thing? That's not the debt being kind. That's cortisol covering for it. Every morning your body fires a cortisol spike, the get up, go, survive hormone. And for a few hours it papers over the balance. You feel functional. You mistake it for being rested. Then, early afternoon, the cortisol fades, the adenosine you never cleared is still sitting there, and the bill comes due all at once. That's your 2 p.m. wall. It was never about the sandwich. The debt was there the whole morning. You just had a hormone hiding it. And if you're running on caffeine to push through, here's the quiet betrayal inside the betrayal. Caffeine doesn't remove adenosine. It just plugs the receptors so your brain can't feel it. The exhaust is still building behind the wall. When the caffeine clears, all of it floods the receptors at once. The crash isn't tiredness arriving. It's tiredness you owed, collected with interest. But here's the twist that explains your worst mornings. Not all sleep pays the debt. The actual clearing, the part that sweeps the adenosine away, happens mostly in your deepest sleep, the slow, heavy stage in the first few hours of the night. That's the payment, and that payment can fail to go through. A few drinks before bed, a midnight snack, a room that's too warm, a roommate's lamp, a phone buzzing at 3 a.m. None of it wakes you fully, but each one quietly shaves the deep sleep down and scatters it. So you can lie in bed for a flawless 8 hours, technically asleep the whole time, and still hand over a payment that never clears. The hours were there, the deep sleep wasn't. That's the cruel loophole. Your body doesn't reward time in bed, it rewards time in the deep end. And almost everything about modern life is built to keep you splashing around in the shallows. Which is why I slept 8 hours, and I feel rested, quietly stopped being the same sentence. Think of the 8 hours as standing at the register, and the deep sleep as whether the card actually goes through. You can stand there all night. If it keeps declining, you walk out owing exactly what you walked in with, plus the hours you spent lying there. But adenosine is only half the story, and this is where it gets genuinely strange. You're not run by one system, you're run by 2, and they're supposed to cooperate. The first is that pressure we just covered. The longer you're awake, the sleepier you get, straightforward. The second is your circadian clock. an internal 24-hour timer that decides when you should be alert, regardless of how much sleep you've banked. It's why a 3 a.m. shift feels brutal even after a full day's rest, and why you get a baffling second wind at midnight when you should be unconscious. When those two clocks agree, you feel great. When they fight, late nights, shifting schedules, a body that thinks it's noon while the world insists it's 7 in the morning, you get the specific, swimming, can't focus tired that no amount of sleep seems to touch. Because the problem was never just quantity, it was timing. You were sleeping. You were just sleeping against your own clock. Which is exactly why modern life is a near-perfect machine for keeping you exhausted. Look at an ordinary week. You stay up till 2 a.m. 3 nights running. Deadlines, or a screen you couldn't put down. Doesn't matter. The debt's the same. The bright light from that screen tells your circadian clock it's still daytime, so the clock shifts later, and now your body wants to sleep at 4 and wake at noon. Then a 9 a.m. obligation drags you up anyway, so you slam coffee, which blocks the adenosine you didn't clear, which means you're not tired enough at bedtime, which means you stay up, which means you see the loop. It's not a character flaw, it's a feedback spiral, and it tightens every day you feed it. Add the part nobody schedules, the lying awake with a racing brain at 1 a.m., quietly filed under anxiety, that eats the back of your night. Add a sleep schedule that's different every single day, so your circadian clock never gets to settle on an answer. Stack all of that, and why am I always tired stops being a mystery. You've essentially designed the symptom. The good news buried in that? A thing you built, you can take apart. And before you decide this is too big to fix, it isn't. You're not paying off years of bad sleep in one go. You're just refusing to add to the balance, starting tonight. The body is slow to forgive, but it isn't cruel about it. Most people feel the afternoon walls soften inside a week, not a month. You don't need a perfect routine, and you don't need to buy anything. You need a boring, repeatable one. 2 anchors, the same wake-up time and a few minutes of morning light, and the account quietly starts settling itself while you get on with the rest of your life. So forget the wellness influencer fixes. You don't need a $400 sunrise lamp or a 19-step morning routine. You need to do 2 boring things the science actually agrees on. 1. Stop chasing the debt and start refusing new debt. You can't binge your way out. Remember, no heroic Sunday. But a consistent wake-up time, the same time, even on weekends, lets the body finally close the books instead of reopening them every few days. The wake-up time matters more than the bedtime. That's the part people get backwards. 2. Give your 2 clocks one clear signal a day. Morning light, real daylight, within an hour of waking, even 5 minutes, tells the circadian clock this is morning, anchor here. It's the single cheapest intervention with the biggest return, and it costs you nothing but stepping outside. Do those 2 things for 2 weeks, and the 2 p.m. wall doesn't vanish overnight. Debt's paid slowly, remember, but it starts shrinking. You stop adding to a balance you could never outsleep, because the tiredness was never random, and it was never you being weak. It was an account, and now you know how it's kept. So you're not broken, you're in debt, and biology always collects. What time does your body wake you up against your will, no matter what you do? Drop the exact time in the comments. I'm genuinely collecting them.